Good morning, FCC, and welcome to another edition of SGN, Some Generosity News. I wanted to get the essence of what people were saying about generosity, so we start today's show with some generosity tweets. At Pablo Asa Pica writes, "The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away." And at W. Churchill 1874 tweets, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." And I couldn't help read what you've written about this show, FCC. At Ready to Give writes, "I need that commitment card now." At SGN Lover says, "Some generosity news beats CNN, NBC, and that other SGN in generosity reporting." And at Proud FCC member tweets, SGN, and now for some generosity news. In this, our third and final edition of SGN, we're going to take a hard look at monkeys. On the COVID-19 front, more than one vaccine candidate has proven effectiveness in monkeys. In a New York Times article written in July, Johnson & Johnson recently began clinical trials in Europe and the U.S. to test its vaccine in people. It is one of more than 30 human trials for coronavirus vaccines underway across the world. But until these trials are complete, the monkey data offers the best clues to whether the vaccines will work. And in Rio de Janeiro, an overpass jutting from a forest over a 4-lane highway in a rural area outside the city has been built for a very special sort of pedestrian. The golden tamarin monkey is a small orange primate that for decades has been at risk of extinction. The little monkey has watched its habitat shrink over decades of rampant deforestation. The bridge connects one protected area to another that was previously separated by the highway. Bridge to salvation for a species. And finally, when you're talking about generosity, monkeys lead the way here too. You see, monkeys practice mimicry with purpose. It's a form of social learning. You know, that's where we get the phrase monkey see, monkey do. It's an important concept because when human social behavior and relationships are studied, we also practice mimicry with purpose, and that is why we have SGN, FCC. We do it as newborns also, imitating the facial expressions of our parents, and we do it with other behaviors as well, especially in groups. An experiment published in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences in 2010 found that when generosity was exhibited by someone in a group, others tended to also exhibit generosity, and the display of generosity continued longer than the original act. Similar results have been found with kindness, and you can see this in Pay It Forward campaigns. This is great news because it means a small act of generosity really can grow into something big, just like the parable of the mustard seed. I love it when we're able to back up the Bible with science. So today we have a very special guest to help us see how our generosity grows worldwide. David Barrickman, Program Associate for Resource Development in Global Ministries of the Christian Church Disciples of Christ. Welcome, David. Happy stewardship season, David.
Hi.
Thanks so much for joining us this morning. If you don't mind, would you give us a little understanding of what it is you do for the Global Ministries?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I'm a program associate for resource development at Global Ministries, which means that I primarily work with congregations and with individuals who are interested in supporting the global church. And so I work with congregations and individuals who may be interested in supporting a specific project, or they may be interested in a specific part of the world, and they want to find a way to participate and the work that's going on there through giving.
Nice. We've been talking about generosity and catching it and sharing it and spreading it as far as we can to the ends of the earth if we could. And I understand that the Disciples Mission Fund that we contribute to helps global ministries, and in turn helps us do that and helps us spread our generosity to the ends of the earth. Can you speak to that?
And so first I'll say that I can really just speak to how Disciples Mission Fund helps support global ministries, but it also helps to support many of the other general ministries of the disciples in a very similar way. So it does more than even just what's going on at global ministries. And I'll also say that global ministries is very thankful for also the designated giving that congregations such as First Christian do. In the past, First Christian has done giving in the Philippines as well as in India and across Africa. And so we're very thankful for that as well. But yeah, we're going to speak a little bit about Disciples Missions Fund. And Disciples Mission Fund does so much for supporting the global church through global ministries that I really can't even cover all of it. So I'm going to go with three main points, kind of a bird's eye view of a little bit of how your congregation is present all over the world through your participation in Disciples Missions Fund. The first way is that the giving through Disciples Missions Fund helps support the 290 partners in 90 countries all over the world. And because it's general gifts, it allows those partners to use those funds in flexible ways. So when we have something that happens like the coronavirus pandemic, those funds are available for those partners to use in new and creative ways to respond to those issues as they arise. And I'll mention that if folks are interested in how that's happening, there are videos, small, 3 to 4 minute videos that we received from partners all over the world about how they're responding to COVID-19 that are on our website, and I'll send that link. And so that your congregation is supporting those partners in that work through Disciples Missions Fund. The next point I would mention is that Disciples Missions Fund helps to support mission personnel of global ministries who are placed with partners all over the world. And an example of how those mission personnel, the work and ministry of those mission personnel is important. I'll lift up the work of Nishan and Maria Bakalian, who are working right now with the Armenian church in Beirut, Lebanon. And as many people probably know, there was recently a tragic explosion in Beirut. And Nishan and Maria are there right now ministering to and helping people recover from that explosion. And so it's those people on the ground who are already there when things happen that help our church and your congregation to be present with those people in the midst of that hurt and that pain. And I'll send a link if you want to learn more about that to a recent newsletter that the Bakalians wrote. And it just gives a little bit of background about what they're doing and what the situation is right now in Beirut. The third way that I'll highlight is that it helps global ministries, it assists, supports global ministries in offering educational and engagement resources for congregations in the United States and Canada, so that congregations can learn more about the global church and build those relationships. In a very fun way that has happened this summer is we are aware that so much is going on virtually. And so our mission engagement team was able to put together a virtual pilgrimage to Cuba. And that is available on our website. So I'll send the link to that as well. And that work can only happen with the support, again, of something like the Disciples Missions Fund. So all of those ways, all over the world, are ways in which your congregation is present through the Disciples Missions Fund.
It really makes you feel good to know that you're supporting all those ministries. During this stewardship season in 2020, we do stewardship every year. We don't do the same thing, but it's the same time and kind of the same. But like everything else in 2020, it feels different this year. So what is new and different in the response of global ministries, or in the, what kind of outside the box thinking are you having to do, and that kind of thing?
Sure. Yes, 2020 is a different year. And while stewardship and giving is, it's always important, always a core part of what we do as a church. It's especially timely. It's especially important in this year. And I look at things often through relationship, and so I think often in our deepest relationships, those are those relationships that we lean on, that we use, that we rely on to get through times of crisis. And it's so true for our global churches, as we are in relationship with churches across the world. We rely on each other. It's a mutual relationship to navigate through times of crisis. And so through giving, through things like Disciples Missions Fund, through the special offerings that happen, congregations can be present in that relationship with congregations in Africa and in the Philippines, in Japan, as we walk through something like this pandemic together. I think it's amazing. Again, I'll mention those videos, to watch some of those videos and see the creative ways in which partners are responding around the world to the issues in their own context. And it's exciting because we could never respond in all those myriad of ways by ourselves, but when we work together in ways like this, we can all respond in our own context. So you have partners in Ecuador who are putting together food and hygiene bags and taking them to remote places across Ecuador while much of the country is closed down. And we have partners doing kind of similar things in India, with food and hygiene kits for communities that are vulnerable in this time. And so it's in this moment that, yes, the giving globally is incredibly important. And Global Ministries is so thankful for congregations like First Christian who are participating in that.
It's such a big world, and you never know where to start, or where to put your money, or what, can I do something? So it just feels really good for you to show us how those funds are used, and they do reach, to the ends of the earth. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh, thanks for having us. Thanks for having Global Ministries.
We really appreciate it, and we wish you a good rest of this year and a happy stewardship season.
Thanks, and to all you as well.
Thank you. And that wraps up your stewardship season 2020. Please take a moment to reflect on not if you are going to be generous, but how you're able to be generous in 2021. Fill out those commitment cards to help your church budget and plan to mustard seed the good news of Jesus Christ to the ends of the earth. I'm Sue Padgett, and this has been SGN, Some Generosity News.